Hello, I am Mudita, and welcome back to Satisfactory. This is episode 11 of the load balance playthrough, and today I'm going to tackle power. I was planning on doing heavy modular frames and the electronics factory, like computers, before I built a bunch of power generators. However, I realized I wasn't going to have the power to make those factories, so I hand-fed some machines to get enough parts for the fuel generators that I needed. I went on another hard drive hunt to obtain a good amount of hard drives, and now I have a few alternate recipes available to me. I'm going to utilize the heavy oil residue and diluted packaged fuel recipes. These are a great combo that drastically increase the amount of power generated for the amount of crude oil needed. One of the keys to making a load balance playthrough easier on yourself is to pick easy to work with numbers. Instead of getting every last drop of oil out of the pure node, I'm going to use 540 per minute and turn that into 18 gigawatts of power. This amount lets me use very convenient numbers of machines. I'm going to be using this spot right here. So let's quickly go over what we're doing here. I'm going to be utilizing one pure oil node and extracting 540 crude oil. I'm going to use refineries to turn that into heavy oil residue. And then I'm going to use the diluted packaged fuel recipe to make packaged fuel and feed those into fuel generators. We'll be sinking the byproduct polymer resin for now. In the future, we may end up using it. Let's take a quick look at the blueprints we'll be using. So for the first step, after we extract the water, I'm going to need to package it. So this blueprint has two packagers right next to each other. Feed the water in, and the empty canisters on one side, and the packaged water pops out the other side. On the next floor, it'll be refineries. There's two steps. So the first one will be the heavy oil residue. So I have two refineries paired up here. These are going to be set to 75% so that I can plug each refinery from the heavy oil residue right into the next one. And then the heavy oil residue refineries will plug straight into the diluted packaged fuel recipes set to 100%. We'll also plug in the packaged water from down below, and this will make our packaged fuel. We will then send these up to the floors to be unpackaged and then sent into the fuel generators. So here is the packager, and here is the fuel generator. Even though this is a very simple blueprint with just one little pipe here, the nice thing is it's already set with 3 power shards, which makes placing all of these a whole lot easier. Well, I jumped the gun and I already have the water extractors in place, but let me build the rest of this tower to give you an idea of the scale, and then we'll start building all the machines. Okay, so the tower is in place. It did become a little bit bigger than I had originally planned, like most things are in this game. I wanted to also give it plenty of room for the smokestacks and whatnot, so you could definitely make this shorter. You could probably make it a bit more compact, but I'm happy that it doesn't take over the entire little lake here. So as you can see, I'm missing quite a few parts to build this entire factory, so what I'm probably going to do is build a chunk of it, and then we're just going to skip ahead. So we'll start here down here at the bottom, and what I want to do to make my life easiest is I want to line these up with the water extractors below. So let's see, so I want to give myself enough room to do all the belt work. So we're going to give myself a foundation and a half. And we want to line this up in the middle of the same foundation there. This one is on the 2 foundation split. And I kind of already know that it's going to basically alternate that pattern. So this one's going to be right here in the middle. This one's going to be on the 2 dividing line, in the middle, on the dividing line, and in the middle. And we can just double check to make sure, but oh, well, that's one too many. How about here? Yep, right on the dividing line, perfect. So let's fill in our holes here. And then the other side just needs the exact same setup. So I kind of wanted to mark where the very middle was to make my life easier, so I did that on all the floors. And the way we're going to do this, I'm just going to do the first one just because it is a little tedious. So let's get the watercolor going so I don't have to repaint all of them. So I'm going to place it, I'm going to delete that, and actually what I want to do is place basically one of these at this halfway mark. And now go from here, switch to horizontal to vertical, lock it in place, and that's where I want it. So there are some weird issues with having pumps and floor holes, so I'm just going to not use the floor hole, except for I'm going to place it afterwards. Because I like the idea of the floor hole. It looks good. They just don't always work 100%, so I'm hoping that that's something that gets changed. So for each one, for this to be a perfect right angle, it needs this short little piece. For whatever reason, I just could not get it to go horizontal to vertical and just work the way I wanted to without adding that little piece. So then I'm just going to come around and I'm going to clean these things up so that it's just a straight pipe, and clean that up a bit so it all looks like it makes sense. So that's how the water extractors are going to get the water up to the packagers, and then from here the next step is going to be, oh yeah, I did create this bus. This just goes right around here to the pure node, so nice quick and easy little route here. Alright, so let's get some. So I'm actually going to work slightly backwards right here just to make sure. So the way these are going to work, I think same thing. I'm going to give myself one and a half. I think that's what I planned for. Let's see if that's right. Okay, so if the diluted packaged fuel goes there, then the heavy oil residue is, I believe, gonna go, so right here. Pretty sure that's how much space was, one and a half. And let me see, how did I think that's the spacing. I think I was doing it 4 meters in between the blueprints. Yeah, so it's every 3. Did I do this right? I think I might have offset it. I think the space this way is right, but I think it needs to be, there we go. Yeah, I'm like 99% sure, because then on this side, we're just gonna have a slightly bigger gap. Let's make sure. No. There we go. Okay, that's the right spot. Delete all these. And thankfully, with the blueprint changes they've made, super easy. Alright, let's make sure. So I want, basically, it's one full foundation in between these 2 halves. Then in between each one of these, it's just going to be 4. And that's really the easiest way to do it. Alright. Yep. So let's grab the diluted packaged fuel. It's gonna go right here. Let's double check. Make sure it's all lined up. Alright. Oh, yep, of course. Missing motors. But basically, the way this is going to work is we're going to have our 2 pipe. So let's see. Come all the way down. Okay, so this is the middle. That's why I colored those. So, actually, so I don't have to recolor everything. Now we're on to crude oil, so let's put that right there. So this is the exact middle. So it's going to come here, and we are actually going to load balance the pipes. So that needs to split there, and oh, this one's spun around. Does that sometimes. Okay. So that's gonna go there, and then this one, I believe, it's really weird. It's 1, 2, 3. Yep, and that's your straight. So I need to go grab some copper sheets. Okay. It's gonna drive me nuts. There we go. Good enough for now. Alright. So it's gonna go from there to there, and then from here to there. Unfortunately, since we have that like 1 meter off, look straight into there with the straight line. That's okay. So there we go. So that's basically 1/4 of how it's going to look for the piping. And these 3 will have the same setup going that way, and then we'll do those and those. So that's how the crude oil gets load balanced in here. And then the reason I underclock the heavy oil residue is now I can just do this. I don't have to merge the pipes together at all. I can just straight shot. This one puts out 30, this one takes in 30. So no need for anything else. Super clean, super easy. As far as the resin goes, the way we're going to get rid of that is we're just going to, now obviously you could really easily just do a manifold, right? But at the end of the day, I've just grown to really like the way that it looks, even merging them together. So those will go there. Let's see. Let's place all of these just so I can show this. Of course, stew pipes. Okay, so now that we have those built, this is how it's gonna go. Let's see, then we do those 2, and then these 2. And then we need to combine all 3. So we're just gonna split this up. 1 more. Okay, so we got that and that. There. Alright, so thankfully these put out very little, only 15 each. So this belt has 30, so this means this one right here has 60. Same with this one. Oh, kind of forgot that. We'll go this way. Is that? Oh, I think I did it wrong over there too. Well, I'll be. There we go. Okay. So anyways, so what I really want now is a lift to just go over this. Because what I'm gonna do is we're gonna take this merger and we're gonna find right there in the center. We're gonna go up all three. Since this is gonna be mirrored, I'm gonna have this exact thing on this side doing the other half, right? So it's gonna have the same thing where it's gonna have all of the polymer resin group up. So since each one of these has 60, so I've got 180, so I need to mark 3. So if I put this little thing here and make sure I switch my lift, when I spin it around, I can actually get a nice little short stubby lift. Then I can take my mark 3 and run it straight right over it. Obviously you could just make it taller, but I like doing stuff like that. So that's the polymer resin dealt with. So these have the heavy oil residue, that's all sorted. Got the output done. So now we just need to figure out how do we get the there we go. So just do 2 of them. So the way I'm gonna do this is we're just gonna throw down a floor hole right there. So since each one of these needs 60, this needs to be marked 2. So that's going to be 120 on each one, which is exactly what these do. Each one of these puts in 60, so end of these mergers is 120. So I just need to pair up one of these with one of these. So it's going to be real simple. Definitely make sure you have the right one. So since that's right on the line and it's going to be kind of weird, I think I'm actually going to move it back. So instead of it being as close as it can be, we'll just go 1 meter back, and I think it gives it a cleaner look down below. So, and then we will just run these to the floor. Grab our Mark II belt and just plug these up. So there we go. So that is the packaged water going into here. These will shoot out our diluted packaged fuel. So now we just got to take those up to the next floors and use that fuel. So the next step would be, let's get a fuel generator. So I'll work out the specifics on where exactly it's going to go, but this is so we can get everybody an idea. So it's going to be fuel generator. I don't remember how much of a gap I can give them, but I'm going to have to figure that out again. So basically, I need 2 of them like this. And then I'm going to take the unpackaged fuel and we'll just say that's centered on that line to make my life easier. So I need to move this back 1 from where I would think it's lined up, and then that way these can both make just nice easy right angles. And then I just need to take that packaged fuel. What I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna run these lines up to the center so I can make a nice little waterfall. And so that'll go up here, and then the remaining ones will go up here after they split off. And I'm just now realizing I actually need 1 more floor that I forgot to build. Whoops. But this is how it's gonna work. So we've got, let's see, is it 120 that I need? But basically, this is how it's gonna work. So these will come over here. We'll plug into the packager. And then the empty packages are going to come out here. Actually, no, we're not going to do it like that. We're going to have them shoot through the middle in between these two. And they're going to come over to here. And then we're going to have floor holes down here that are going to take these all the way down to this floor. And then, yeah, these are obviously not in the right spot, but then they're going to come down here, and then that is going to complete the cycle. So that's how we get the empty packages back down here. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to have it so it's split so that basically half of the empty packages come this way, the other half go that way. Similar to how half of the packaged fuel is going to come up on this side, the other half is going to come up on this side. So I hope that kind of made sense. I don't want this to be the longest video ever of me building all of these machines, because it is quite a few, and it's gonna have to go back and forth to get materials, even though a lot of it's right here. So that's basically how this whole thing works. We just have to scale it up by quite a bit, and then all of a sudden we'll have 18 gigawatts of power. So let me go ahead and put the rest of the machines in, and then I'll talk you through the next step. And ta-da! Just like that, all the machines are in place exactly where they're supposed to be. So, just to quickly go through it again. So we've got the water extractors. Those will pump up the water into our packagers. This will package the water. Then we're going to send them up to this step. But first, the crude oil that's coming from right over here is going to flow along, get pumped up through here, and then it's going to split. So half there, nice load balanced. Polymer resin gets all grouped together, and then right down the middle on both sides. Then gets sent into our sink. All of the heavy oil residue, it just has a nice straight shot. The packaged water is coming from down below. That's what all those lifts are. And then what we did is we've got 2 of these, because each one of these puts out 60. So this is 120. So we've got 120 on each of these belts being sent up. And then they come over and then they split in between 2 systems. So we got 120 here and then 60 and 60. This will split it up. Each fuel generator, it doesn't say anywhere, I believe. No, but at 250%, each one of these will use 30 fuel a minute. So 60, everything is just nice and even. These work out really, really nice to load balance. So I do need to fix this tower. I'm gonna reroute the power once everything is turned on. I just haven't wanted to do it right now. And yeah, so each floor basically does the same thing. So just the outside 2 split off, and then we go all the way up to the top floor, which is now added. So we just had to use the normal bowls instead of the ceiling bowls, but really I think it looks super clean up here. So the only thing is these aren't plugged up at all. As you can see, there's no connection. I still need to load up tons of the empty canisters into all of these packages so that they have enough. And then we're going to see how long it takes to get up to 100%. As you can see, I loaded up the empty canisters in all of the packagers. And that is the only thing that has been preloaded. There's nothing else has been turned on yet. Both packagers in the loop are loaded with empty canisters, and so are the belts in between the 2. So now all that's left is to turn it on, and let's see how long it takes to completely back up. Okay, and now we're not getting empty canisters coming out anymore, meaning that the packager and everything past that is completely backed up with fuel. So once it has a full stack of 100 stored inside the packager, everything behind it will really start to trickle and back up enough to turn off. Once it backs up all the way to the oil extractor, we'll start connecting the fuel gens, and this factory will be 100%. Now we're just waiting for the heavy oil residue to back up. Other than that, once that backs up, we'll go check the extractor, and then we can start plugging everything in. And there we go, all yellows. Gotta love how in sync they are. So we'll see the last bits of polymer resin flow out of the machines, and let's start checking the pipes. Okay, so we still got a little bit to go until the pipes are going to be all the way backed up to the extractor, but that's okay because that's completely full. So now we're still backing up into the machines, so just got a little bit to go. Now that there's going to be no action going on here, I'm going to go to the extractor so we can see exactly when it gets completely backed up. And there we go. Oh, never mind. Almost. Now, I think... Alright, I think we're finally completely backed up all the way to the extractor, so we should have just completely full pipes. I'll just check a couple on the way back. I would have thought the flow would be down to 0 by now, but just getting the last few bubbles out, I guess. But it looks like we are pretty much backed up as much as we're gonna get. So now I can go ahead and just start connecting these. So in order to not clip through the lifts, I added some spots just for those end ones. Alright, and there's one floor. On to the next. And there we go. Look at that power graph. Up to our 22,800. So we just got to give it probably not very long, less than a minute, and this should level out to be pretty much completely flat. And I don't know if I mentioned it before, but the reason I overclocked the machines is it meant I only needed to build 48 instead of 120, and since I don't have a heavy modular frame or computer factories, that was meant that I needed 40% of the required materials of those parts that I needed to hand feed machines, which is a good chunk when you're making so many. So at the cost of power shards, overclocking, power generation machines, there isn't really much of a downside, because normally with normal machines it would end up costing you more energy, whereas this is directly proportional. So we're getting a full 2.5 times more power generated. All the ratios are the same. It ends up being a really nice even 30, consuming 30 a minute instead of 12, which, since these output is 60, just makes the whole thing really easy. So I highly recommend just using a whole bunch of power shards on your fuel generator setups. So we're just waiting on the last few to kick back on. I think we're just waiting for empty canisters to make it through, so we start getting water and start generating more. If you really wanted to make sure that there was plenty backed up in the system, you could have turned it all on, waited for the last ones to go through, and then refilled all of the packagers down here with another load of 100, or as many as could fit, and then you would make sure that your system had a ton of fuel basically in reserve, or canisters in the loop. But this will work out fine. It's plenty enough. It just takes a minute for the farthest machines to make the return trip and get those started again. But now that all of the refineries look to be on, that means all of the machines are on, and we should see a relatively flat graph now. It's almost exactly 60, so I'm gonna guess those are some awesome sinks turning on or off, but could be a couple different machines. It's obviously still connected to the rest of the world, but by and large, that means we are 100% up and running, and that is mission complete. I now have an extra 18 gigawatts of power. Ah yes, first bits make it around. There's still plenty of buffer. These are completely full. Perfect. So yeah, you could add some more if you didn't want it to get that close, but these will start refilling in plenty of time before they run out, and there's plenty in the whole loop. I'm real happy with this. So now that I have plenty of power, I can start building some bigger factories that include manufacturers and some bigger projects. So look forward to that. Most likely going to be doing heavy modular frames next at a rate of 6 a minute. Stay tuned for that. And like always, thanks for watching.